Hello everybody. Alright, I'm going to make a last little video before I'm jumping on the prototype for my classic F1 car that you see in front of you. I have done a bit of cleanup work and finishing work on the car since the video I did yesterday. And so let me just show you now all those changes, and then we will close for the design part of it. So I have not filmed everything because it's a little bit repetitive. Once I've done one body part, the front is pretty similar. I've done one plastic part, everything kinds of is the same. Okay, so mainly the big thing is he's got a head. It's pretty hard to see because he's got a lot of vertices. This is a mix of 3ds Max and Inventor. So that's his head. I'm not sure if we can see much of it, but he's got a helmet and a head. Nothing to report there. The wheels, like I showed yesterday, I'm really happy with those wheels, and I think if they work with the hollowed parts like that, is going to be really fantastic. With the drum inside there, I think this is going to give really a good sense of scale, realism to the car. So the main thing that I have changed compared to yesterday is I did run the exhaust pipe before on the mold of the clear body shell, first and second half, but I really didn't like the way it was like straight and angled back. It was really like a weird diamond shape. So I have redone it, and it's going to be plastic parts now that will be screwed all along the bottom over there and at the back. So first of all, that is going to help give a little bit of strength to the entire assembly, and I think it's just going to be nicer for the realism. And so the cool thing, you can see a little bit sticking out from inside there, the parts, actually the exhausts, manifolds, and the exhausts over there are actually matching each other on the motor, the engine inside and the exhaust outside. So I don't know how it would look if you were to cut that as a whole. I'm not sure that would be great for the strength, but if you remove the hood, you will see the motor matching inside. So let's do that now. I don't think I've done any other changes. I just prepared the mold, so there are new parts here and there that are just for molding purpose. And so now you see, once you remove the front panel, I have raised the motor 6 mil in order to fit all the batteries underneath. Before it was really low. I was thinking only for the LCG batteries, but at the end I thought anybody who runs any type of battery should be able to put the motor on and not restrict with the LCG only. So this is the modeled motor that you see that is going to be mounted on the battery plates over there with four 3M holes, so you're going to be able to bolt it to it or put a bolt through and then a quick release or something. If you use shorty battery, I think you won't need to remove the motor. If you use a regular stick, you're going to have to take it in and out of the car. But if you want to look cool, there's a little bit of pain involved. It's always how it is. And yeah, so I'm really happy with the way it looks like. Once again, I've not tried to do like crazy realism. It's a V12. It gets the pretty big air intake in the top. I'll show you if my software doesn't crash, that it's actually an actual air intake. Might do its job, might not do its job, but the entire engine is hollow. Every intake manifold have a hole into it, and there is holes all the way through and holes at the bottom. So if you cut the upper parts of the hood, you're going to be able to have airflow. I'm crashing. I'm going to be back. Hey, it's almost like nothing happened and my software did not crash. Okay, I'm back with a quick look at the motor now. The body is gone. This way you can have a nicer look at what the motor looks like. So as I was saying, I'm not trying to do a realistic 375 motor or something like that, but it's a V12. It's got a bit of everything. It's it's a quick model of the engine. But now you can see on the inside. So are we going to be able to go eat an edge? So if you can see, come on, my friend. You can see those air intake over there. You can follow them all the way to the bottom here. So it is completely hollow, the motor, and so if you open the air intake on the hoods, you're going to have air intake in here, and that is going to magically cool down your battery, which with this car, the battery is not going to get hot. I think I'm going to I'm running mine actually on 17.5, my F103 GT. It handles the speed, but I think a 21.5 or a 25.5 with such big tires should be a pretty good motor to have. You have a lot of torque. So I think I'm going to try with a 25.5. I've never run a 25 before, so I think I'll give it a try with this sort of electronics. And so as you can see, the motor is taking a really nice amount of space in the car. This is where the servo would be. So the servo is going to protrude over there, and then you'll have the servo saver over here in the front. No tall servo, only low profile servo for this car, unless you don't want to run the dummy engine. But I would advise, there is so many things that are pushing the center of gravity pretty tall that I would not advise to add a big servo. So you see those exhaust pipes now that have a nice curve to them. They're going all the way across the chassis over there, and they follow the curve of the diffuser at the rear. So here is my rear diffuser. This is the 13mm razor that I designed on video last time. So that looks, if you look at the chassis from the bottom, it's gonna look like more mechanical parts. So I think it's nice to have a little bit of scale realism onto the race cars. And the front 10mm raise, all I've added into it is the little engraving in here. I had an engraving there as well to show the amount of raise, and body posts mounts on the side. And so that is it for that car. I am now ordering the first prototypes of all the plates are going to be 2mm thick, and I have my pods already. I'm testing a new, for the pod I have a motor spacer for the cooling, as well as just to have the motor spaced away enough from my bearing mount. If you know the pod, you know why you need to have a spacer at the back. And so I'm trying as well to get some cut it out in 2mm material instead of having them 3D printed. And so all of these parts are going to be the plastic parts. All of this is going to be plastic, and everything else is going to be aluminum FRP, 2mm FRP. So I'm going FRP first. I'm very happy with the way the FRP behaves on my 128 scale chassis. My F103 GT, it's the original F103 GT. It's an FRP chassis as well. I've been driving the heck out of it for, I don't know, 12 years, 13 years, something like that, and it's still in shape. I never changed any single chassis part. So I believe FRP is going to allow me to lower the costs of this vehicle a lot, because if you can tell, there is a lot of parts involved. The molds are pretty substantial. There is a lot of details for the scale, the mirrors, the helmets, the exhausts, the engine, and the body itself is going to be a 3-part with the windshield, the back part, and the front part. So it is an extensive build. There is a lot of elements involved, plus boutique manufacturings. I have to get the front end from F1. I'm using Team Saxo for the front end, and the Team Saxo F1 axle at the back, bearings and hardware. So this is not a big deal, but because there's so much involved, the cost is going to fly really quickly up. And I'm so happy with the result I have with my FRP on the mini trike that I don't see why not with the bigger cars. So I'm going to do a prototype whenever I receive my new parts, sometime the end of next week, I suppose. And I'm going to test for this one. I'm going to test for the trike, the 12 scale trike, and I'm going to test for the pan car as well. If it is successful, if everything works as well as it does with the carbon, then I might completely not get rid of the carbon, but just offer it as the luxury option, but sell the basic kits with FRP instead, just so everything can be more affordable. Yeah, so that's it for that classic F1. Get ready to see some updates with it. I tell you, probably end of next week, not earlier than that, because now I need to receive all the parts from the suppliers, and there's quite a few different things involved. I already have my boutique parts here, except for the bearings, but I have the front assembly that I need to build. I have the rear axle, and I just need some turnbuckle hardware, and then receive all my plastic parts, and then see if everything fits and work. And if it does, then you can be sure there's going to be quite a lot of videos of this thing moving around, because I'm in love with the model. I think I'm going to really, really freak out with the real thing. It is going to be long. This is actually now 280 wheelbase, but I think proportion-wise, it's going to make sense. It's going to loop the parts, and so once I'm happy with all the parts and there is a go with all the parts, there is going to be an F1 version of the chassis that I'm probably not going to make a body for in the beginning, but it's going to be 280, or if you reverse and have RR, it should be somewhere around 245 to 50 wheelbase. So it's going to be a dual wheelbase based on the same chassis plate and the same pretty much everything, but everything lower. Of course, you don't need to raise the front and the back. So one thing at a time. I'll let you know when this arrives. Yeah, at the meantime, I'm waiting for my 128 bumper. I have ordered prototype sets for the EVA foam and for the 1.5 mil plates that are going to be cut, lower and upper plates. So sometime next week as well, I'm going to be able to show how, if it works and how it works for the new bumpers for the 128 scale. All right, that was a lot. So everybody have a good weekend, stay safe, and have fun with RC and making stuff. All right, bye-bye.